The morning sun reflected off the crystal towers of Valix Prime, casting rainbow shadows across the grand plaza. Thousands of Valix citizens gathered below, their forearms raised in celebration. Their chitinous armor gleamed as they chanted victory songs. Another world had fallen. Another species had bent their knees to the Empire. High Sage Quelthar stood alone in the Temple of Remembering, far from the celebrations. His old eyes scanned the ancient texts carved into stone tablets. These words were older than the Empire itself, written by prophets long dead. Most Valix considered them worthless myths, but Quelthar had spent his life studying them, and today something made his hands tremble. The stone was cold under his fingers as he traced the ancient symbols. From the void between stars they will come. The persistent ones, the species that knows no surrender. They will bring fire that burns without heat, death that speaks no warning, and when they arrive, empires will fall like leaves in winter. Quelthar had read these words 1,000 times, but only now, after the seventh species had been forced into slavery, did he feel their weight. The prophecy spoke of a species called humanity, beings with 2 arms instead of 4, beings who walked upright on 2 legs, beings who, according to the ancient texts, could not be broken. Outside, the celebration grew louder. General Morvex stood on the balcony of the War Palace, his armor decorated with medals from countless victories. He was the greatest military commander the Valix had ever known. 50 battles, 50 victories. No enemy had ever stood against him for long. Citizens of Valix, Morvex's voice boomed across the plaza. Today marks our greatest triumph. The Keltharian homeworld is ours. Their armies are destroyed. Their people serve us now. We are unstoppable. The crowd roared. Parents lifted their young ones high to see the general. Soldiers beat their weapons against their shields. The sound echoed through the city like thunder. Morvex continued, his voice filled with pride. Some speak of old stories, ancient warnings. They say we should fear creatures from beyond our borders. They call them humans. He laughed, and the crowd laughed with him. I say to you, there is nothing in this galaxy we should fear. We are Valix. We are eternal. We are supreme. More cheers, more chanting. The celebration would last for days. Quelthar heard it all from his temple. He closed his eyes and felt sadness settle in his chest. The prophecies were clear, but no one wanted to listen. The Valix had grown too proud. They had forgotten that every empire, no matter how strong, could fall. He moved deeper into the temple archives, searching through records that most had forgotten. His fingers found an old data crystal, dusty and cracked. It was a report from 200 years ago, filed away and ignored. A scout ship called the Wanderer's Eye had gone to explore the Dead Reaches, an empty region of space beyond Valix territory. Quelthar activated the crystal. A hologram appeared, showing the face of a frightened Valix scout captain. His voice crackled with static. High Command, this is Captain Vexillar of the Wanderer's Eye. We have encountered something. Unknown vessels. We attempted communication but received no response. The ships are unlike anything in our databases. Angular design. Strange energy signatures. We are moving closer to investigate. There was a pause, then more static. When the captain spoke again, his voice was urgent. They're not responding to our hails. We're scanning them now. The beings inside. They're bipeds. 2 arms, 2 legs. They're looking back at us. They're just watching. High Command, I don't think we should... The transmission ended. The Wanderer's Eye and its crew of 30 were never heard from again. Search parties found nothing. The incident was marked as lost in space and forgotten. Quelthar stared at the frozen hologram. Bipeds, 2 arms, 2 legs, just like the prophecies described. He gathered the ancient texts and the old reports. He requested an audience with the Council of Dominion, the ruling body of the Valix Empire. They granted it, though, only because of his position. Most council members considered him a harmless old scholar. The council chamber was massive, with seats rising in circles around a central platform. 50 council members sat in their designated places, their armor marking their ranks and regions. General Morvex sat among them, still basking in the day's celebrations. Quelthar stood in the center and presented his findings. He showed them the prophecies. He played the final transmission of the Wanderer's Eye. He explained the warnings that had been passed down for generations. The ancient texts speak clearly, he said, his voice steady despite his age. There's a species called humanity. They exist beyond our borders. 200 years ago we encountered them. That ship never returned. The prophecies say they are unlike any enemy we have faced. They do not know surrender. They do not forget. They do not forgive those who harm the innocent. Council members whispered to each other. Some looked interested. Most looked bored. General Morveck stood, his presence commanding attention. High Sage, with respect, these are stories. Children's tales meant to frighten. That scout ship could have been lost to any number of natural causes. Space is dangerous. As for these humans, even if they exist, what of it? We have destroyed every species that opposed us. Why would they be different? Because the prophecies say they are persistent, Quelthar replied. They say humans do not fight like we do. They turn loss into fury. They turn fury into victory. They never stop coming. Morveck smiled. Then let them come. We will destroy them like all the others. The council voted. 47 members dismissed the warnings. Only 3 voted to investigate further. The matter was closed. Quelthar returned to his temple as the celebrations continued into the night. He looked up at the stars through the crystal ceiling. Somewhere out there in the darkness between worlds, something was watching. The prophecies had never been wrong before. He whispered a prayer to the old gods, the ones most Valaks no longer believed in. Forgive us. We have grown too proud. We have forgotten wisdom. If they come, if humanity comes, may we have the sense to listen before it is too late. But deep in his heart, Quelthar knew the truth. The Valaks would not listen. They would fight. And when they did, the prophecies would be fulfilled. The fire would fall from heaven, and nothing would ever be the same. 6 months passed since the celebration. The Valaks Empire continued its expansion, confident and unchallenged. But on the border system, something strange was happening. Ships disappeared without sending distress calls. Listening posts went silent in the middle of their transmissions. At first, High Command thought it was equipment failure or perhaps pirates. Subcommander Rilkath commanded a patrol group near the Outer Veil Nebula. It was a quiet assignment, usually boring. Most days involved scanning empty space and filing reports that no one read. Rilkath didn't mind. After 20 years of war, he appreciated the peace. On the morning of the 43rd day of his patrol, everything changed. "Sir, we have a contact," his sensor officer reported. "Unknown vessel 30,000 kilometers ahead." "It's not in our database." Rilkath moved to the main display. The ship appeared on screen. It was small compared to Valak's warships, but its design was strange. Angular where Valak's ships were curved. Dark metal instead of their polished armor. It didn't match any known species. "Open communication channels," Rilkath ordered. "Standard greeting protocol." They sent the message. Minutes passed. "No response, sir. The vessel is moving." "It's approaching us." Rilkath felt his chest tighten. "Battle stations. Shields up, but do not fire unless I give the order." The strange ship came closer. It made no aggressive moves, but it didn't respond to communications either. When it was 10,000 kilometers away, it stopped. Then suddenly, their communication systems activated. A voice came through, speaking perfect Valak's language. The accent was strange, but every word was clear. "Valak's vessels, this is Captain Hana of the human reconnaissance ship Morning Star. We come with a message for your empire. We speak for those you have enslaved. The Keltharians, the Drex, the Mulvari, all 7 species you have conquered. We demand their immediate release. You will dismantle your empire. You will face justice for your crimes. This is your only warning." The bridge fell silent. Rilkath stared at the screen. Humans, the species from the old prophecies. "They were real. Sir, what are your orders?" his weapons officer asked. Rilkath knew he should report this to High Command first. But the ship had made demands. It had threatened the Empire. He had fought for the Valaks all his life. He had never backed down from a challenge. "Target their engines," he ordered. "Fire when ready." 4 Valak ships opened fire simultaneously. Energy beams cut through space, bright enough to leave after images on the screens. They should have torn the small ship apart, but the ship moved. It twisted and turned with impossible speed. Every shot missed. The human vessel didn't fire back. It simply dodged as if it knew where each shot would go before it was fired. "How are they doing that?" Rilkath demanded. "Unknown, sir. Their ship's movements don't match any pattern we've seen." The Morning Star broadcast again. Captain Hana's voice was calm. "We did not come here to fight today. We came to deliver a message. We are humanity. We have been watching you. We know what you have done. This ends now, or you will fall." Then something appeared on Rilkath's tactical display that made his blood run cold. Data. Thousands of files, ship movements, defense positions, supply routes, base locations, everything about Valak's military operations in this sector. The humans had it all. "They've been here," his intelligence officer said quietly. "Sir, they've been in our space for months, maybe longer." Before Rilkath could respond, the human ship vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Their sensors couldn't track it. It had disappeared like a ghost. Rilkath immediately sent a full report to High Command. He included everything: the encounter, the message, the data breach. He recommended extreme caution. General Morvex received the report with anger, not fear. "One small ship makes threats and runs away, and you call this urgent? Send 3 battle groups. Find this human ship. Destroy it. Make an example." 3 battle groups deployed. 90 ships total. They spread out across the border systems, searching for the Morning Star or any other human vessels. Over the next 2 weeks, all 3 battle groups disappeared. 90 ships. Over 4,000 Valak's warriors. Gone without a trace. No distress calls. No debris fields, nothing. High Command tried to keep it quiet, but word spread. Soldiers talked. Officers whispered. Something was out there hunting them in the dark. Quelthar heard the reports and returned to the ancient texts. He found new prophecies he had missed before. They come first with words, then with silence, and finally with stars that fall as judgment. Words. The human message. Silence. The disappearing ships. And the stars falling, that part hadn't happened yet. He requested another audience with the Council of Dominion. This time they listened more carefully. 3 battle groups couldn't just vanish. "The humans are here," Quelthar said. "They are watching us. They know our positions, our strength, our weaknesses. The prophecies warned us. We didn't listen. Now they are preparing." "Preparing for what?" a council member asked. "War. The kind of war we have never seen." General Morvex stood. "Then let them come. We will mobilize the full fleet. We will crush them. No species has ever defeated the Valak's empire. No species like humans has ever existed," Quelthar replied. "The prophecies are clear. They are persistent. They do not surrender, and they do not forgive." Before the council could respond, an urgent message came through. It was broadcast on all Valak's frequencies. Every ship, every base, every communication device in the Empire received it simultaneously. A human face appeared, a woman in a dark uniform. Her eyes were hard but not cruel. She spoke in perfect Valak's. "I am Admiral Kang of the Human Expeditionary Fleet. We have observed your empire for 8 months. We have seen your crimes. We have documented your atrocities. We speak now for those who cannot speak for themselves." The image changed, showing footage of Keltharian slaves working in mines, Drex children separated from their parents, Mulvari prisoners being executed. "You have enslaved 7 species," Admiral Kang continued. "You have killed millions. You have shown no mercy. We offer you one final chance. Release all slaves. Surrender your military forces. Face justice for what you have done. You have 72 hours to respond." The transmission ended. The council chamber erupted in angry voices. How dare these humans make such demands? Who do they think they were? General Morvex's voice cut through the noise. "We will respond. But not with words. Prepare the fleet, every ship, every weapon. We will find these humans and we will destroy them." A junior officer raised his hand nervously. "Sir, we don't know how many ships they have. We don't know where they are. We don't know their capabilities." "It doesn't matter," Morvex said. "We are Valaks, we are undefeated." The council voted to reject the human demands. More than that, they ordered a demonstration of power. 10,000 Keltharian prisoners would be executed publicly. The executions would be broadcast across all systems. It would show the humans and everyone else that the Valak's empire bowed to no one. Quelthar left the council chamber with a heavy heart. He returned to his temple and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the humans were watching. They had given a warning. The Valaks had responded with death. The prophecy was unfolding exactly as written. Words had been spoken. Now came the silence before the storm. And soon, very soon, the fire would fall from heaven. He whispered another prayer. "May the gods have mercy on us, for I do not think the humans will." The executions were scheduled for dawn. 10,000 Keltharian prisoners stood in the grand arena on Valak's Prime, surrounded by armed guards. Cameras broadcast everything across the Empire. General Morvex wanted everyone to see. This was the Valak's response to human demands. Dr. Suji watched the broadcast from her quarters aboard the UNS Righteous Thunder. She was a xenobiologist, a diplomat, someone who believed in peaceful solutions. She had spent 3 months trying to find a way to free the slaves without war. She had drafted 17 different peace proposals. Now she watched as Valak soldiers forced the Keltharian prisoners to kneel. "Admiral Kang," she said quietly into her communicator. "Please, there has to be another way." Admiral Kang stood on the bridge of his flagship, his jaw tight. He was an old soldier, a veteran of campaigns that had tested humanity's resolve. He had seen war. He hated war, but he hated this more. "They made their choice," he said. "Alert the fleet. Execute Operation Judgment." The Keltharian prisoners began to pray. Some held hands. Parents tried to shield their children. The Valak soldiers raised their weapons. Then the sky turned white. Every sensor on Valak's Prime screamed warnings simultaneously. The orbital defense network detected massive energy signatures appearing from nowhere. One moment space was empty. The next it was filled with ships. 847 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel all at once. They appeared in perfect formation around Valak's Prime and 46 other major Valak's worlds. The coordination was impossible. The timing was perfect. The message was clear. Humanity had been holding back. In the arena, the guards looked up. The prisoners looked up. Even General Morvex, watching from his command center, looked up at the sky. Admiral Kang's face appeared on every screen in the Valak's empire. His voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of judgment. "You were warned. You chose this. May whatever gods you believe in have mercy on you. We will not." The orbital weapons platforms around Valak's Prime opened fire first. Hundreds of defense satellites designed to protect the planet from any threat unleashed their full power at the human fleet. The human ships didn't even slow down. 90 seconds. That's how long it took for the entire Valak's orbital defense network to be destroyed. Human railguns fired projectiles moving at 40% the speed of light. The metal slugs hit with the force of nuclear weapons. Defense satellites simply ceased to exist, turned into clouds of vaporized metal. Valak's warships scrambled to respond. The home fleet consisted of 300 capital ships, the pride of the Empire. They had never been defeated. They lasted 18 minutes. The human vessels moved like predators. They didn't fight like the Valaks expected. There was no honor combat, no formation battles. The humans struck from multiple angles at once. Their weapons calculated trajectories in microseconds. Their targeting was perfect. A Valak's dreadnought, 2 kilometers long and armed with enough firepower to destroy a city, exploded as a railgun round punched through its reactor. Another battleship tried to turn, to bring its main guns to bear. 3 human destroyers hit it simultaneously from different directions. It broke apart like a toy. General Morvex watched from his command center as his fleet died. He couldn't understand it. The humans weren't superior in every way. Their ships weren't invincible, but they fought with a precision that seemed impossible. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. His tactical officer's voice shook. "Sir, they've been mapping our movements for months. Every patrol route, every response protocol, every weakness. They know exactly how we fight. They know where we'll be before we get there." It was true. While the Valaks had been celebrating their victories, human scout ships had been everywhere, watching, learning, waiting. When Captain Hana delivered her warning, she had already transmitted detailed battle plans to the human fleet. Every Valak's weakness had been identified, every response predicted. The humans didn't just attack. They dismantled. On the ground, something else was happening. Thousands of objects began falling from the sky, but they weren't bombs. They were drop pods. Human Marines encased in armor entered the atmosphere at speeds that should have killed them. But these weren't normal soldiers. They were humanity's best, trained for exactly this kind of operation. The drop pods didn't land near cities. They landed at military bases, at slave compounds, at execution sites. The precision was surgical. In the grand arena, the Valak's guards raised their weapons to fire at the Keltharian prisoners. They never got the chance. 3 drop pods crashed down around the arena's perimeter. Armored figures emerged, moving fast. Sergeant Nari led the assault. Her squad of 12 Marines swept through the arena like a storm. They didn't kill indiscriminately. Every shot was aimed at armed guards who threatened prisoners. Valak soldiers who dropped their weapons were left alive. Those who fought back fell. In 45 seconds, the arena was secured. 10,000 Keltharian prisoners stood in shock, unsure what was happening. Nari removed her helmet. She was young, her face serious but kind. She spoke in Keltharian, her accent rough but understandable. "You're safe now. We're taking you home." One Keltharian elder stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. "Who are you?" "We're humans, and we're here to help." Across the planet, similar scenes played out. Human forces landed at 6 major slave compounds. They moved with purpose, freeing prisoners while avoiding civilian casualties. When Valak civilians got in the way, the humans went around them. When children ran across their path, the Marines stopped and let them pass. This confused the Valaks more than anything. They had expected monsters. They had expected cruelty. Instead, they saw precision and restraint. General Morvex ordered a full counterattack. He would fight to the last soldier. He activated the Empire's final defense, the collective command. All Valak soldiers were connected through a neural network. They could coordinate perfectly, move as one mind. It didn't work. Human soldiers fought as individuals. There was no pattern to predict, no formation to counter. One Marine would attack from the left while another came from above. They communicated, but every soldier made their own decisions. The collective command was useless. Morvex's command center came under attack. Human Marines breached the outer walls. His guards fought back, but they were overwhelmed. A human intelligence officer named Wu led the team that captured Morvex. The general expected to be executed immediately. Instead, Wu simply secured him and called for transport. "What are you doing?" Morvex demanded. "Kill me, I'm a warrior. Let me die with honor." Wu looked at him without emotion. "You don't get to die a hero. You're going to stand trial. You're going to answer for what you've done." In orbit, the battle was over. The Valak's fleet was destroyed. Admiral Kang surveyed the damage reports. Human losses: 14 ships damaged, 3 destroyed. Valak's losses total, but Kang took no joy in it. War was never something to celebrate, even when it was necessary. Dr. Suji contacted him from the medical bay where she was helping treat wounded. "The Keltharians are free. So are prisoners from the other compounds. But many are traumatized. They'll need help. They'll get it," Kang promised. "Send down the support teams. Medical, psychological, everything." High Sage Quelthar watched from his temple as human ships filled the sky. The prophecy had come true. Fire had fallen from heaven, but it was not the destruction he had feared. It was something else, something he was only beginning to understand. A human Marine appeared at the temple entrance. The soldier was polite, almost respectful. "Sir, we're securing the area." "Are you armed?" Quelthar shook his head. "I am a sage, a scholar. I do not fight." "Then you're safe. Stay here. Don't leave the temple until we give the all-clear." The Marine left. Quelthar returned to his window, watching as the world changed forever. The Valak's empire had fallen in less than a day, and humanity had barely used its full strength. The morning after the battle, Valak's Prime was quiet. No celebrations. No victory songs. Just an eerie silence broken only by the hum of human ships overhead and the sound of reconstruction beginning. Sergeant Nari's squad was assigned to secure a civilian district in the capital. They expected resistance, maybe guerrilla attacks. Instead, they found families hiding in their homes, too frightened to come out. Nari's second-in-command was a young Marine named Tai. He had joined the military to fight, but what he saw now confused him. "Sarge, these people, they're just scared. They're not soldiers." "No, they're not," Nari agreed. "And that's exactly why we're here. To protect them, too." They came across a shelter where about 30 Valak civilians had barricaded themselves inside. Children, elderly, a few adults. When Nari knocked on the door, someone inside screamed, "Please, don't hurt us. We have children." Nari removed her helmet and set down her weapon where they could see it through the window. "We're not here to hurt you. We're here to help. You need food, water, medical supplies?" The door opened slowly. A Valak's female stood there, one arm protecting a small child behind her. She had 4 arms like all Valaks, but right now she just looked like any mother trying to protect her young. "You're helping us?" she asked, confused. "Yes. We're setting up distribution points for supplies. Medical care is available at the central plaza. It's safe. We have doctors treating everyone, Valaks included." The woman started crying. "But we're your enemy. "We're Valix, your people came to destroy us." Nari knelt down to be at eye level. "We came to stop your military, to free the people your empire enslaved. But you, these children? You didn't do anything wrong. You don't deserve to suffer." Over the next few hours, Nari's squad helped move the civilians to a safer area where human aid workers had set up a temporary shelter. They provided food, clean water, and medical checks. The Valix couldn't understand it. A medic named Jin worked at the Central Plaza Hospital. It was chaos, but organized chaos. Wounded from both sides were brought in. Keltharian slaves who had been injured, Valix soldiers who had fought against the humans, civilians caught in the crossfire. Jin treated them all the same. A young Valix soldier was brought in with severe burns. He had been aboard a warship that exploded. He was barely conscious, in terrible pain. When he saw Jin's human face, he tried to pull away. "No, stay away." Jin spoke calmly in Valix. "I'm a doctor. I'm here to help. Hold still. This will hurt less if you don't move." "Why?" The soldier gasped. "I fought against you. I tried to kill your people." Jin worked quickly, applying advanced medical treatments that eased the soldier's pain. "Because you're hurt. Because you need help. That's all that matters right now." Nearby, a group of freed Keltharian slaves watched this with confusion of their own. One of them, an older male, approached a human supervisor. "Why do you help them?" he asked, gesturing to the Valix being treated. "They enslaved us. They killed our families. Let them suffer." The supervisor was a woman named Leah, a civilian coordinator who had seen too many wars. "I understand your anger, I do. But revenge isn't justice. If we let hatred guide us, we become what we fought against, so they just get away with it. No, the ones responsible will face trial. Real justice, not mob violence. The soldiers who committed crimes will be held accountable. But a wounded kid who was following orders? He deserves medical care." It was hard for the Keltharians to accept. Years of suffering didn't just disappear, but they watched as humans treated everyone fairly, and slowly, understanding began to grow. In a secure facility, General Morvex sat in a cell. It was clean, not luxurious, but not cruel. He had expected torture. He got 3 meals a day and books to read. Intelligence Officer Wu came to interview him. Morvex refused to cooperate at first. "I will tell you nothing. Torture me if you want. I will not break." Wu sat down calmly. "We're not going to torture you, General. We don't do that. But you will face trial. War crimes. The deaths of millions. You'll answer for what you've done. Then just kill me now. Get it over with." "That's not how justice works," Wu said. "You wanted to be a hero, remembered as a great general. Instead, history will remember you as a war criminal. Your own people will know the truth about what you did. That's worse than death, isn't it?" For the first time, Morvex looked uncertain. High Sage Quelthar was allowed to move freely. He was not a warrior, and the humans respected that. He walked through the city, seeing the occupation with his own eyes. He expected to see oppression. Instead, he saw something that troubled him even more: kindness. Human soldiers helped elderly Valix carry supplies. Human engineers worked alongside Valix workers to repair damaged buildings. Human teachers set up schools for children, both Valix and freed slaves, teaching them together. Quelthar found his way to the Central Plaza, where Dr. Suji was coordinating the relief effort. She noticed him watching and approached. "High Sage Quelthar, I've read about you. You tried to warn your people." "They didn't listen," he said quietly. "But I must ask, why are you doing this? Why help us? We would have destroyed you if we could." Dr. Suji gestured for him to walk with her. "May I show you something?" She led him to a memorial wall that humans had erected. On it were images and names. Millions of them. "These are humans who died in a war long ago," she explained. "We almost destroyed ourselves. We were divided, fighting each other, causing suffering. It took us to the edge of extinction before we learned." "Learned what?" "That suffering creates more suffering unless someone chooses to break the cycle. We were slaves once, many of us. We were oppressed. We were broken. And when we finally won our freedom, we had a choice: become oppressors ourselves or be better. We chose to be better." Quelthar looked at the memorial. "So this is not conquest?" "No, this is intervention. We didn't come to rule you. We came to stop the cruelty. Now we'll help you rebuild, help you create something better. But the choice of what that looks like belongs to you and the species you harmed. We're just here to make sure everyone gets a voice." Over the following weeks, the process began. Human forces established order but didn't rule. Instead, They facilitated meetings between the Valaks and the species they had enslaved. These meetings were difficult, often painful. Accusations were made, evidence was presented, tears were shed, but through it all the humans remained neutral mediators. They didn't dictate outcomes. They ensured everyone was heard. A Truth and Reconciliation Committee was formed, led by Quelthar and Keltharian survivors. General Morvex and 147 other high-ranking officers were put on trial. The evidence was overwhelming. They were sentenced to life imprisonment, but their punishment included working to rebuild what they had destroyed. Regular soldiers were offered a choice: face trial for specific crimes, or participate in reconstruction and reconciliation programs. Most chose the latter. They worked alongside freed slaves, building homes, schools, hospitals. It was awkward at first, sometimes hostile. But slowly, connections formed. Admiral Kang gave a speech at the formation of what would become the coalition government. Representatives from all 8 species attended, including the Valaks. "We didn't come here to replace one empire with another," he said. "We came because cruelty must be answered, because no one should face darkness alone. What happens next is up to you. All of you. Build something better. Build something just, and know that humanity will stand with you, not above you." In his temple, Quelthar updated the prophecies. He added new words to the ancient texts, and when the fire fell, it burned away the old world. But from those ashes, something new grew. Not perfect, but better. And the humans, the persistent ones, taught us that the strongest force in the universe is not weapons or power. It is the choice to be kind when you have the power to be cruel. 6 months had passed since the fire fell from heaven. Valaks Prime looked different now. The military parade grounds had been converted into parks. Slave compounds were torn down and replaced with housing. The grand arena where executions once took place now hosted cultural festivals where all 8 species shared their art and music. It wasn't perfect. Healing took time, but it was better. Fleet Admiral Tay stood on the observation deck of the orbital station that humans had built. He was promoted after the campaign ended, tasked with overseeing the transition period. Below, he could see the planet transforming. Ambassador Leah joined him at the window. She had been appointed as humanity's chief diplomatic representative to the new coalition. Her job was complex: help 8 different species learn to work together while ensuring humanity didn't overstep. "The council meets today," she said. "Final vote on the coalition charter." Tay nodded. "Think it will pass?" "I hope so. But even if it does, we'll face challenges. Centuries of hatred don't disappear in months." "No, but we've seen progress. Small steps?" Leah smiled slightly. "Small steps are how you climb mountains." In the Coalition Council building, representatives from all 8 species gathered. The chamber was designed so that no one sat higher than anyone else. Equals, at least in theory. High Sage Quelthar had been elected as the Valaks representative. It surprised many, but after everything that happened, the Valaks people wanted someone who had tried to warn them. Someone who had been right when everyone else was wrong. Across from him sat Mina, a Keltharian elder who had survived 3 years in the mines. She had every reason to hate the Valaks, but she had agreed to work on the Reconciliation Committee, choosing justice over revenge. The debates had been fierce. What form should the new government take? How much autonomy would each species have? What about the Valaks military? Should it be dissolved completely or reformed? Ambassador Leah facilitated but didn't control. When arguments grew too heated, she reminded them of the goal: a future where no species dominated another. The charter was finally put to a vote. It included provisions for shared governance, independent species rights, military limitations, and a justice system that applied equally to all. Most importantly, it included protection for the vulnerable and punishment for future atrocities. One by one, representatives voted. When it was over, the charter passed with 6 votes in favor, 1 abstention and 1 against. Not unanimous, but democratic. Quelthar and Mina shook hands, or rather his 4 arms grasped her too. It was a small gesture, but symbolic. The hologram recorders captured it, and the image would be transmitted across all 8 worlds. While governments negotiated, regular people faced their own challenges. In a rebuilt community that mixed Valaks and Keltharian families, tensions still existed. But there were also moments of unexpected connection. A young Valaks male named Day had been a soldier. He fought in the war, though he never committed atrocities. After the surrender, He chose the reconciliation program rather than trial. Now he worked in construction, helping build homes for freed slaves. One day he was assigned to build a house for a Keltharian family. The father watched him work with suspicious eyes. Day understood. He kept his head down and focused on his job. At lunch, the father's daughter, maybe 6 years old, brought Day water. She wasn't supposed to, but children were curious. "Are you the bad ones?" she asked innocently. Day didn't know how to answer. "Some of us were. I was a soldier. I fought against your people. Did you hurt anyone?" "I hurt soldiers in battle. I never hurt children or families. But I was part of something bad. I'm sorry." The girl thought about this. Mama says sorry is good. But you have to mean it. "I do mean it," Day said quietly. The girl's father came over, ready to pull his daughter away, but he had heard the conversation. He looked at Day for a long moment. "Keep building," he finally said. "Build it well. It wasn't forgiveness, not really. But it was a start." The war crimes trials concluded. General Morvex and his top commanders received life sentences. They would spend the rest of their lives working on reconstruction projects, seeing every day what their empire had destroyed. Morvex himself had changed during his imprisonment. At first he remained defiant, but over months, forced to listen to testimony from survivors, forced to see the evidence of what he had done, something broke in him. When he was sentenced, he stood before the court and spoke. "I believed I was serving my people. I believed we were strong, and strength gave us the right to rule. I was wrong. I caused suffering beyond measure. No punishment you give me will be enough, but I will spend whatever time I have left trying to repair even a fraction of the damage I caused." Some saw it as genuine remorse. Others thought it was performance. Either way, he would pay for his crimes. Human forces began preparing to leave. The coalition was stable enough to defend itself. Human engineers had helped build a new defense network, but it was operated by coalition forces, not humans. Human teachers had trained a generation of students in their schools, but now local educators were taking over. Admiral Tay gave his final speech to the assembled coalition council. "When we arrived, we came with fire and judgment, but that was never the goal. The goal was freedom, justice, the chance for all of you to determine your own future. You have that chance now. We'll leave behind a small diplomatic mission and some support personnel, but the coalition belongs to you. Protect it, improve it, and never let cruelty take root again." He paused, looking at each representative. "We humans learned the hard way that peace is harder than war. Building is harder than destroying. But it's worth it. You'll face setbacks. You'll have disagreements. That's natural. But remember this. You're stronger together than you ever were apart." As human ships prepared for departure, people gathered to watch. Some were celebrating. Some were sad to see them go. Most felt complicated emotions. On Valix Prime, citizens lined the streets as human marines marched to their transport ships. It was strange. Months ago, these same people had feared and hated humans. Now children waved. Adults offered thanks. Some Valix even cried. Sergeant Nari was among the last to leave. A Valix mother approached her with a young child. "Thank you," the mother said in broken human language. "You saved us. You showed us." "Better way," Nari smiled. "You saved yourselves. We just gave you the chance." High Sage Quelthar went to the temple one last time before the humans left. Dr. Suji met him there as they had arranged. "The prophecies were right," he said, "but they were incomplete. They warned of fire from heaven. They didn't mention what would grow afterward." Dr. Suji looked at the ancient texts he had spent his life studying. "Will you keep updating them?" "Yes, for future generations. So they remember not just the fall of the Empire, but the rise of the Coalition. So they remember that humans came not as conquerors but as liberators. So they remember that change is possible." "What will you write about us?" she asked curiously. Quelthar smiled. "A student asked me yesterday if humans were gods. I told them no. I told them humans are something the gods forgot to make. Mortals who act as if they are responsible for one another." Dr. Suji laughed softly. "I like that, though I'm not sure we live up to it. You do more than you realize." As human ships lifted off, their engines bright against the evening sky, Quelthar added final words to his updated prophecy. He carved them carefully into new stone tablets that would rest beside the ancient ones. The fire fell and empires burned. But from those flames came light. The humans came as warriors and left as teachers. They showed us that strength without compassion is cruelty, but compassion without strength is merely good intentions. They gave us both, and then they gave us something greater. They gave us ourselves, free to choose our own path. May we honor that gift. May we never forget the cost of pride or the value of mercy. May we build something worthy of those who came to save us, not for conquest, but because it was right. Years later, young students from all 8 species would visit the temple to read these words. Some would be Valaks learning about their people's dark past. Some would be Keltharian, learning about liberation. All would learn about humanity. And somewhere in the galaxy, human ships continued their mission, not conquering, not ruling, just watching, ready to answer when someone called for help. Because that's what humanity did. That's what they had always done. They persisted. They protected. They never stopped caring, even when it would have been easier to look away. The prophecy had come true, but it wasn't an ending. It was a beginning, and the story of what the coalition would become was just starting to be written.